There's something that magical happens when we intentionally choose to allow ourselves to go to the depths. Because when we really allow ourselves to fully experience what the menstrual cycle has to offer us, it brings us the highest of highs on the other end. Like, it's the duality, the contrast that really creates what we want in life.
Hello and welcome to the Phoenix Perspective Podcast. I am so glad you are here today. We have an incredible guest. Her name is Renae Fieck. Renae is the founder of Your Cycle Advantage and the Flow Collective, and she's also written a book called Cycle Sync Your Business. She teaches women how to align their business with their body's natural rhythms so they can work less, make more, and lead with confidence. Her conversation was so enlightening. We talked about fighting patriarchy, and we talked about how cycle syncing impacts your daily life, and not only just as a business owner, but as a mom and as a woman who's on a mission to discover herself. So whether you are a coach, a business owner, or even if you work a 9-to-5, you are going to find value in this conversation with Renae. She's so grounded, down to earth, and feminine wisdom flows from her. So make sure you stick around for the next hour as we talk to Renae. Welcome to the Phoenix Perspective Podcast, a show for women over 30 rebuilding their lives after loss and major life changes. I'm your host, Corey Ray Kovacs, a registered nurse, storyteller, and a woman who knows a thing or two about rebuilding a life. Each week, we explore women's health, personal growth, and spirituality through honest conversations with experts, fascinating women, and lessons from my own messy journey. You'll find episodes that help you to understand what you're going through, trust yourself again, and create a beautiful, joy-filled life from here. So wherever you are on your journey, tune in and let's rise together. Hello, Renae. Welcome to the Phoenix Perspective Podcast. I am so excited to have this conversation today. Welcome.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm honored to be here today.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I am really, really excited to talk to you because I think speaking with another woman who is running a business with her cycle, I'm like sitting here and I'm like chomping at the bit to ask you, what day of your cycle are you on right now?
I am on day 19. I tend to run.
So am I!
Really? I was like, I tend to run a little bit later. Like my cycles are a little bit longer. So I still have not ovulated yet, but I'm on day 19.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So typically, so I'm also on day 19, and typically this is ovulation day for me, but I actually ovulated a couple days ago. So my cycle is going to be, because typically it's like 31 days. I had that, the day when after your ovulation, it feels like somebody just like pulled the rug from under you. Yeah. That was yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah.
So today I'm feeling a little bit better, but definitely that dawn of luteal. So you haven't gotten to your ovulation, so you're kind of in your ovulation window right now.
Yeah, except for like the last couple of days, I've just had like a lot of intense things happening. And so yesterday, I felt very much luteal. I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. Not business, but like some other stuff. And I was like, I just don't want to be a part of this. Like, I just want to quit. I want to walk away. Like, I even called my dad. I was like, Dad, what do I do about XYZ? Because I just want to like walk away from all of it. And I was like, this feels very luteal, but I know I haven't even ovulated yet. Then it made me question if maybe my hormones and things are off this month and maybe I'm not going to actually ovulate this month. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what's coming. But it definitely feels luteal, even though I know I'm like, I have not ovulated yet. So yeah.
I think it's interesting as you are getting to know your body, right? And you see those patterns and you recognize them, especially as you've been doing it for several years. And then things kind of start to change a little bit. I'm 41.
Same. Yeah.
And so I've had a couple cycle changes. And so I think this is like really bringing up a good point is when you are tracking your cycle, how important it is to be flexible, especially as we start getting into that perimenopause. What have you kind of noticed, like in terms of how you're shifting your tracking as things may start to change a little bit as
Yeah.
you're, heading in your 40s?
Well, so a couple of things. One, I think that cycle syncing, this is my theory, but I do believe that it will help people navigate through perimenopause easier. One,
Mhm.
because I think it helps us, like, we're giving our body this cyclical nature. We're telling it, like, hey, this is the habit, this is the rhythm, and we're supporting it in that way. So I think it's going to make it easier for it to maintain and continue with that cycle. One. Number two, the whole idea behind cycle syncing is for us to be more intuitive and like listening to our bodies. And I think the changes that happen with perimenopause are so subtle initially that I think if you're paying attention to it, you're going to be able to intervene and be able to support your body much earlier versus getting to a place where you're like, dude, I'm dying and I can't handle this. Likely your body was sending you signals for a really long time. You just weren't paying attention to it. And so I do think it'll help in that way as well. I've recorded a podcast episode and it hasn't released yet. It will be by the time this episode comes out. But I like titled it like why I've stopped cycle syncing my business, which is so against as everything that I do because my whole book is cycle sync your business. Like the whole thing, like that's all my business. But it was really from this framework and the concept that like kind of the flexibility that you're talking about. Like when I started cycle syncing, I thought it needed to be, this is where I'm at in my follicular phase. So these are the 10 things that I need to get done. And if I'm in my luteal phase, I can't do that. Like I created these like rigid boxes. And I think that that's what, when you go Google and you look up cycle syncing, that's what you're going to find. You're going to find these are the 10 foods you should eat during this phase. And these are the exercises you should not do during this phase. And it's like all these rules. And I don't think that that's what cycle syncing was really designed to be and what it was meant to be. I think it was really intended to be this intuitiveness of us really being able to understand and adapt and support our bodies. So when I say I no longer cycle sync, I mean, I no longer keep myself in a rigid box based on what my cycle phase is. And this is what I therefore have to do. It's more in that sense of like, I've learned to trust my body and to support my body where it's at. And that is, I think, what we're ultimately meant to do. So, even like thinking about exercises, yeah, there are certain exercises that are probably going to feel better in certain phases. But I also know, like, I've been going to dance. I've fallen in love with this like sexy dance studio and I love going. It's like, it makes me feel so good. And so it doesn't matter what phase of my cycle I am in, I'm going to continue going. I may choose a different dance class, like maybe one that's not quite so cardio based when I'm in my luteal. Or maybe if I'm in luteal phase, I'm okay doing the modifications or I'm going to adjust instead of, I think what we hold, and this is like a whole different conversation, but like what we hold in our minds is like cycle syncing is this other set of rigid tools. And I don't think that that's what it's at. So anyway, that was like a little side tangent off of that.
I love it. I love it because actually I was really hoping we were going to talk about this because I actually started calling it something different. I call it cyclical mindfulness because it's almost becomes a mindfulness practice where I wake up every morning and I look and I see what cycle day am I on? Because this like part where we're at right now is kind of a tricky space. It's not quite as obvious sometimes of when you switch, especially if you have irregular cycles or longer cycles. Like in my case with PCOS, that's very common. And so like what you're talking to here is this flexibility and understanding that our cycles have seasons where stress might impact things. And so our bodies are intuitive and they are adapting to the inputs and outputs that are coming. And you're talking about cycle syncing. It can get really rigid and you end up doing what I call cycle syncing like a dude.
It is. It does. It's like, it's a very masculine, we put some, like, it's a very masculine structure on something that's very feminine. But I also am going to give people permission to do that because I do think that it's a really important part of the process. Like, I really do. I think I would not get to where I am at, and you probably wouldn't have been able to get where you're at without having gone through that. I think our world right now is so disconnected from our bodies. We are so disconnected from our intuition. We're like putting so much of our power outside of us into everybody else and like what somebody else says and what else we should be doing, that if we need to use a masculine sort of structure that helps us like actual learn the language of our bodies and help us learn like what's going on, then full permission to do that. I think that it's really helpful for most of my clients when you're first starting to really have this like, okay, I'm in my follicular or ovulation phase. This is what I should be feeling. This is kind of where I'm at. Do I feel that way?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
is this what's happening? Like, is this what's going on? And what happens if I do actually do these tasks that should align with ovulation? Like, how do I respond to that? Like, how does it feel when I do that? And I think that we do need to do that. Like, I think that it helps us learn something that we were never taught to learn before. I talk about like cycle syncing in like three phases. One is awareness. Like, awareness is just, oh my gosh, my cycle actually impacts me. And I had no idea. The world has not told me I have a whole cycle. Yeah, it's not just a period. And it actually impacts the way my brain functions, and it impacts the energy I have, and it impacts how creative I am. And it's the part of me that says like, hell no, I'm not doing that. And I get it now. Oh, I get it now. And a lot of times people stay right there. And they see massive changes, even just with the awareness piece. Then the next layer is this like integration component. And integration is more of probably what you and I started with, of like, okay, this is where I'm going to schedule this. And this is how I'm going to put this in here. And it's actually in my Google Calendar. And so I know every time I go to schedule something where it's going to be. It's like we start to try to piece the two pieces together. And then we get to a place of embodiment. And I think that embodiment level is the spot where most people, like fewer people get to, just because of, awareness and things. But I think that is exactly what you and I are talking about. It's this a sense of it becomes a part of us being in flow. Like I've even thought about like rebranding my whole program, because my program is called Your Cycle Advantage. It's all focused on your cycle, but like on the back end of it, I'm like, it's so much deeper than that. But it feels more in this, like, it feels like this, like Your Cycle Advantage feels like it's a productivity thing. It still feels like this masculine thing.
It's so beautiful because I think we do have to start somewhere. I just had an opportunity to have a vendor booth and speak at a conference, a women's professional conference this past week. And I even learned something, and I realized, when I ask them, where they are in their cycle, they still are thinking period. And so we have to start like way, way, way back here. And it's giving ourselves permission to just start paying attention, because nobody taught us. Nobody taught us to pay attention. It is giving yourself permission to learn a little bit more about your body, and what starts opening up. It's like this portal. It's like this gateway into a whole nother level of yourself that even if you've practiced personal development or self-awareness, or, been on a like personal growth journey, it almost feels like this whole nother layer of yourself that you never even realized was there the whole time.
I do. I think that like learning my cycle and learning how to trust my body in that way, it really has allowed me to tap so much deeper into who am I, and this like permissioning. I think it takes the permissioning factor up so much. Like that's one of the key things. Like there's 7 principles of building a feminine-based business that I tell my clients, and the permission is one of them. It's like, how much do we actually permission ourselves to, sit on the couch and take a break if we want to take a break, or permission ourselves to actually say we want something, or permission ourselves to actually do the thing, or whatever it is. Like permissioning is probably at the core, deeper level of a lot of the work that I do, is like helping women permission themselves. Like, hey, you get to build this the way you want to build it, and you get to build it in the way you want to build it, and you get to do it in a way that feels really good. And that's totally fine and totally okay.
Yeah. And that you have kind of your own blueprint that's inside of you that shows you a way to build it that fits you and your season and where you're at right now, because that's going to be very different if you're a woman in her 20s who doesn't have kids and you're building a business, right? And perhaps you have really regular cycles. That's going to look very different than, say like where I'm at, and, where I'm building a business in my 40s in the very beginning stages of perimenopause with a kid, and I also have PCOS.
Yeah.
So those my blueprint is going to look very different than your blueprint, than your client's blueprints. And so it's this understanding that, and giving permission to discover what what works for you, what doesn't work for you, and then allowing yourself the space to not only like explore, but to experiment and then integrate and implement these discoveries that you make as you go through your cycle syncing practice or your cycle awareness practice. For a long time, I felt like my body was working against me because of years of irregular cycles with polycystic ovarian syndrome. My energy, emotions, and symptoms felt really unpredictable. But one of the things that truly changed my relationship with myself was starting to track my cycles consistently with the Cycles Journal. Just spending 5 minutes a day with my cycles journal helped me to realize these patterns aren't random, they are cyclical, like me. It's helped me to create a roadmap of self care so I could build deeper self trust and a more intentional way of living in a way that fits my busy schedule as a mom, farmer, and business owner. And what I love most about the Cycles Journal is that it's inclusive for anyone wanting to understand and follow their inner rhythms. Whether you're actively cycling, perimenopausal, postmenopausal, or simply wanting to get to know yourself more. If you want to try out the Cycles Journal, you can use my code Sacred Phoenix for 10% off. Just click the link in the episode description to get your copy today. Now, let's get back to the show.
Like one of the things I've been really pulling into my programs is human design. I don't know if you know much about human design, but I feel like that takes this whole other layer. Like all of what I do is really helping women tap into their flow, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's their physiological flow, whether it's their energetic flow, whether it's the way your brain works and the flow, like it's like, how do we help women feel so good at what they're doing instead of constantly feel like we're bashing up against this resistance. Like I hear so many women say, I feel like my body fails me for, a couple weeks of the month, or I feel like I get going and then I lose my momentum, or I lose motivation, or I'm in this rut and I can't get myself out of it. And one, I think it's understanding, like I had this conversation, my sister sent me a message and I like did this whole voicemail brain dump with her. And I was like, I should turn this into a podcast. But this idea
I do that all the time too.
Yeah. When we're in a winter, our world has made us think that we need to be producing like we're in our follicular phase all the time, and then we're in spring energy all the time. So when we get into winter, oftentimes, or period phase or menstrual phase or anything like that, like people think, oh, I have to move through this really fast and I have to get myself back into my high vibe sort of space. And I think we devalue the power that the winter holds, trusting that we're going to move through these cycles and allowing ourselves to move through the cycles and being okay being in each one of those different phases. But I think it is this like essence of like really honoring the seasons that we're in and honoring the stage of business that we're in, and knowing that, oh, the blueprint was that, like in the human design, is that we all have different designs, right? And so we're creating this flow that when I learned about my human design, and like the first time, it's my friend like wrote me this whole blueprint on who and how and what I'm supposed to be doing in business. It was so validating to me, like beyond validating of this is what business systems and people tell you, right? Like I've invested hundreds of thousands of dollars in coaches and mentors. This is what they all will tell you. And for some reason, I felt so out of alignment in so many different ways. And I kept hitting this wall of resistance over and over and over and over again. And then my friend wrote this human design blueprint and it spelled all this stuff out. And I was like, oh, this is actually how I'm supposed to be doing it. And this is how I've been feeling. But I was listening to all of these other people and trying to fit myself in this box. So now it's like this beautiful combination of how do we trust our bodies and our menstrual cycles and our flows and build something that feels like in alignment with our capacity. I'm building all these AI tools for my clients. And like, that's a number one thing that I put in there is like, build this for the capacity of the season that they're in, because we can't just say, oh, we're going to build this business blueprint. Like if you have a business mentor who is a single white dude that is only building his business, and you are a mom of 4 little kids and your partner is maybe in the military or works out of town or something, you're going to have a very different way of building a business than this single white dude over here. Like plain and simple. And I think that we sometimes forget that. They're not to say that what they have to offer is not valuable. Like the mentors that I've had, fascinating. And I've learned so much and I'm so grateful for them. But it's different. It is different.
Yeah, the difference that human design, and when you layer that with your cycle, how much of an impact that has had on my life, and other women that I talk to that we speak about. I'm curious if you don't mind sharing. What are you in human design? What's your profile?
I'm a 3-5 generator. So
okay.
The 3 is like the fails everything, fails a lot. The experimenter. That's what my friend, my human design people are like, you're not the failure, you're an experimenter. You're supposed to experiment and then tell us all, like tell everybody else the things that you learned along the way. So I have embraced that sense of I experiment. So if you're wanting to be like advice on anything and you want somebody who's been there, done that and failed and figured out ways, I'm your gal. Like I'll tell you. I don't remember what the 5 is. The leader, maybe? Something like that. Yeah. But the experimenter I own. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a 6-3 reflector. So I also like learning and understanding that piece of me and understanding that the pace of which I live my life is very different. And I think when we start understanding ourselves and these blueprints, like our internal rhythms, our hormonal rhythms, understanding the season that we're in and not turning on ourselves that, we think that, oh, we're doing it wrong or this isn't working for me. It must be me. I think we do that so much. And, whether it's about building a business, building a family, any sort of career or any, relationships or anything that we're like, oh, if it's not working, I must suck. I must be doing it wrong. And I think that's what cycle awareness does, is it helps you practice getting curious.
Yeah.
And then you apply that to everywhere of your life. How has cycle awareness and cycle syncing changed how you do life?
I mean, I think a little bit everything, honestly. Like and yet at the same time, it's so unconscious, I think now that it doesn't feel like it's everything, but it does. It has taken this layer of really just self-awareness overarching that level of self-awareness that changes everything. So now anytime, like yesterday when I was feeling so heavy and I was feeling so intense, I was like, okay, why are these feelings coming up? Like what's going on here? And you run through the layers of, is it related to my cycle? Okay, if it's not, or if it is, you kind of have that layer. And then it's like, where maybe am I out of capacity? Where am I like stretching myself too much? Where have I maybe been overworking or maybe under, supporting myself? It becomes this, like you said, the curiosity factor. I look at everything in the world with so much more what ifs and whys kind of questions. Like I now, anything like I grew up in a very religious household. And now I'm in the space of reading all of these other books and ideologies and things and being like, whoa, what if like this wasn't actually true? And what if all of these things and like, you just get into this question of asking like, why do we believe that way? Why do we think that way? And who decided that for us? Now that I've been like unpacking a lot of these things of who actually created the Bible and who actually decided was in the Bible and who did all these things. And then you're like, do I really want to listen to the guy or like to listen to something that was created by a guy who was very anti-women? And like, do I really want to do that? Like, I think it's taken me down this whole like road of even with my daughters looking at my husband was like, oh, you can't go outside wearing that. And I was like, why? Like, why? And he's like, well, it's not modest. It's inappropriate. And I'm like, but who said? Who said that was inappropriate? I just watched this reel of a friend of mine who came from somewhere in Europe, and it was talking about like why she was like joking about why she couldn't go topless at the spa place that she was at. And she's like, but I feel so constrained wearing this bikini. And like, why do I have to wear this? And then it's, again, we ask those questions of like, somewhere else in the world, women wearing bikinis or wearing tops is a foreign concept.
Mhm.
So why
Mhm.
do we believe that women have to cover up their breasts?
Yep.
Where did that come from?
Yep.
Who decided that? Why did we decide that? You know, and like my daughter,
Mhm.
same thing. She talks about like, oh, seeing guys in Speedos, like, oh, it's just revolting. And I was like, but why? Why do you think that that's revolting? Because there's a lot of places around the world where that is the norm and that's common and there's not any issues with it at all. So who and why do you believe that right now? But I do think that it all started with this. Like it started with this understanding of awareness of my cycle, awareness of what's actually happening and why. And like those just getting really good about asking questions and being really curious and thinking outside the box. Like I think that a lot of us have been trained, if we look at our education system and we look at our government and our religious structures and we look at all of our stuff, it's all built around control.
Yeah.
When we can
Yep.
control the masses and we can control the way people think, we maintain this level of like overarching, superimposed, quote unquote, safety. And
Yeah.
so there's higher beings, higher powers, higher thoughts that have all built these constructs and things around control. And when you start to step outside of that and you start to look at like, who's the puppeteer in this game that I'm a puppet, and you start
Mhm.
detaching yourself from the string, it just changes so much. But I think that that's a big thing that has happened for me in learning to listen of like, why and how and
Why do I believe what I believe? Why
yeah.
am I, am I actively making a choice? And I think that kind of flows into all the things in my experience when I started cycle awareness, how much it changed my parenting,
Yeah.
like me as a mom, and how I show up as a parent and how I've been able to break generational patterns
Mhm.
of reactivity and passive aggressiveness and things that I grew up with in my home, because my parents were at their level of awareness that they were at. And so I've had to do a lot of work, but a lot of that self awareness of realizing how I was carrying on a lot of those patterns came from me getting into this work.
Yeah.
Cycle syncing is not just about it's not just about knowing when your period is. It's not just about, fertility. It's not just about even lifestyle habits. It truly is understanding who you are and
Mhm.
realizing that there is so much more choice that we have in the way that we're living rather than just being a puppet or walking through life sleeping or
Mhm.
unconsciously.
Mhm.
We now get to open these questions and say, okay, why do I believe this? Do I believe
Mhm.
this because this was taught to me as a child? Do I still believe this? Does this help me feel good? Does it help me be a better person? Like you were talking earlier about the depth of what happens when you start embodying, when you get into kind of those deeper layers of cycle syncing, that the the implications that it has on the rest of your life is it's you just don't know. You don't know
Yeah.
when you start that that's where you're going to go, but then it opens up this space for you to explore your religious beliefs, your relationships, how you're showing up as a parent, as a person who's working in the society, or whether you have a career or you're building a business. And so you get to start like making those conscious choices, and that
Mhm.
is I think if anybody had told me when I first picked up my cycles journal that like 5 years from now, you were going to just like dive so deep into your spiritual beliefs and your parenting, I don't think I would have even
Yeah.
comprehended that. But I think we stand here as testament that the rabbit hole is as deep as you want to
Yeah.
go.
I think that like kind of highlighting on what you're talking about and like where like that sense of like you have so much more choice. I think that that's the deeper underlying thing that happened is that what I've grown to understand and know is like we have so much more influence over our realities than we give ourselves credit for. And when, oftentimes women come to me and they're like, the cycle is happening to them. Like it's this
Mm-hmm.
thing that is especially if you have PCOS or PMDD or
Yeah. Oof,
endometriosis or
yeah.
like any of these things, right? It's like almost we take on this level of victim mentality of this is happening to me and I'm just a victim to it. And instead, what happens is like when we start to embrace and we start to understand the cycle and how it is impacting us, but we also have far more influence over how it's impacting us than we really give it credit for too. Like I know many clients of mine who have healed things around their cycles by doing this work, right? Like I have a client completely, she was like diagnosed with PMDD. And after, she did some other like naturopathic, holistic sorts of things and then like syncing with her cycle and working with me and like all these things, like she is undiagnosable at this point in time. So there's things that we can do. I have a client of mine who works with PCOS and she helps heal women from PCOS. Like these things that we've almost like labeled as like, this is me, this is how it works, this is how it is. Like I'm just a victim to this thing happening to me. But what happens, I think, when we look at women starting to embrace their cycle is you start to take on this more of like, wow, I actually can influence. I can actually make some changes here. And we pull that power back to ourselves. And maybe it's not drastic changes, like maybe we're not all of a sudden 1 month no longer having any of these symptoms and we're feeling amazing and whatnot, but it brings that locus of control back into ourselves and says, hey, I actually can make a difference in this area. I can, give myself a little bit of rest and I can actually create these adaptations and I can do these things. And then over time, what that does is that then we start to then create the reality that's in front of us instead of being kind of like letting it happen to us. And I think that for me, that has been the most powerful thing is looking at everything in the sense of how can I create this? How can I create this influence? How can I make these changes? I think a lot of times too, like I hear women, well, I have a 9 to 5 job. Like I can't cycle sync. Or I have kids. How do I manage life and still cycle sync when I have to obviously get them up and feed them every day and I can't just stay in bed, Like, and the questions and the way that you ask the question really determines the outcome that you're going to get and the results that you're going to get. And so for me, it's like that has been a bigger part of that is looking at like, what are the questions that I'm actually asking and how am I asking the questions? Because how I'm asking the questions is going to determine the result I get. And when I can change that lens, it makes a huge difference. So when we look at like, there's two people that can come. One person comes to me and says, I work a 9 to 5 job. How is this even possible for me to cycle sync with a 9 to 5 job? Versus another person comes and says, I work a 9 to 5 job. What is possible for me to do within that job? Very different question, same situation, right? Both people are working a 9 to 5 job. The one is going to actually find relief. She's going to find benefit. She's going to find usefulness. Whereas the other one's going to dismiss it and never see the impact of it. So I think like going back to your idea of like, what are the biggest changes is when I'm looking at my cycle, I know that I have so much more influence and power over my schedule and the way I show up and the way I feel than I ever did before. So, when I schedule something on my calendar and I know, hey, this is actually going to fall on day 2 of my bleed and I'm probably going to feel like shit. So that's okay. I'm going to consciously choose that. I know that I need to get this thing done. That's the only time it's going to work. But what can I do to support myself before that? How can I support myself after that? What am I going to need? And then it's like bringing back that power of saying you have choice. You could say no. Like I could say no, but I'm choosing not to. And so inadvertently in that, now I actually can say, how do I support myself with that?
Okay, there's so many things that you were saying here that were so juicy. I love it. I'm like, fiercely taking notes inside my mind here. But one thing I wanted to speak to is the power of actual cycle awareness. And I think we've grown up in a world that tells us we have to do a lot of things to take care of ourselves. Like I'm a nurse and, I've been in the wellness space for several years now. And there are the exercise, the nutrition, the sleep, all the things, right? We think that we have to hack our way to better health, but I think there's so much that can happen just from cycle awareness,
Yeah.
just from tracking your cycle. How much is unlocked? Just like what you're speaking to right here is this day 2 situation,
Yeah.
which happens, right? If you're not tracking, right? If you're not even tracking your period and it just surprises you, which is it's very common. A lot of women just are like, yeah, it kind of comes around this, the fourth week of the month, and that's, kind of it. But what ends up happening is we feel like, oh, my period is happening to me and it's interrupting my life and I am a slave to it.
Yep.
Rather than if I was tracking and I knew when I ovulated and I know that I have a 12-day luteal phase, and so I can expect my bleed here. And oh, this meeting, I can't move it, I can't cancel it. This is really important, but I am on a vulnerable day of my cycle. I need to make sure that I have nothing on the back end, on the front end, and whatever those things are for you, because you figure that out as you track. And so now you are actually supporting yourself, and that feeling that you get of feeling betrayed or feeling like you're attacked no longer exists. You feel more supported, so your cramps go down. So it's not even about all of the wellness hacks, all of the things, right? If you just made this one change and started tracking and being aware of your cycle, you will see so much change in how you show up in the world. You will feel so much better. Your sleep gets better. Your periods get easier. Your moods get more stable.
Yeah.
Now, eventually, you might change and start adding those things. But really, maybe we just need to start by paying attention to the thing that is happening inside our bodies, to pay attention to our bodies and realize that we're not victims to it.
Yeah.
It is just a part of us. And the more we can accept that, then the better experience we have.
Yeah. And even just like the question, the amount of conditioning and the amount of belief that had to go into making women believe that our periods were something that was like happening to us, that we had no control over, that is like we're a victim to it. Like when we really take a step back and we look at it, it's the thing that brings life into the world. We literally create entire nations. We create generations. Like we create so much in the world. Like where and how much effort did it take to turn an entire like society? Because I don't even think it's like worldwide. I think it's a lot of cultural expectations, but like turn it into this thing that now women think it's a nuisance. It's something to be shameful of. It's something that's a burden to us, that we have to hide, that we can't talk about, that is a hindrance, that is a limitation. Like just look at all of those words, right? That we as a society label onto our menstrual cycle and our bodies in that way. And why? Again, going back to these questions, like what about our menstrual cycle was so powerful that we now have created these whole stories and these whole things to tell, so women believe that it's something that is a nuisance or that it's shameful or something that we need to get rid of.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then when you pathologize everything basically about a woman's body, so our entire reproductive system, all the way from menstruality, menarche, when we start our period, to pregnancy, to menopause and perimenopause. I mean, it's all been made to be a disorder or a syndrome, or it's riddled in all of our language. And what we don't realize is that even that deep-seated mindset that we have, that subconscious mindset about our cycles, is impacting our confidence. It's impacting how we show up in the world, how we show up in our relationships. It's impacting our health. We have been attacking ourselves with our language and unknowingly, but we've inherited this kind of mindset that we've forgotten how powerful we are, and that we do have choice, that we are not slaves and victims to our cycles. As a matter of fact, they are the opening to understanding and to living a most vibrant life. And I truly believe that cycle syncing and cycle awareness is like how we fight patriarchy. Because we show up different. We show up different when we know our cycle. there's so much more compassion and empathy and community, and as you know, as within, so without. Like when you come back to that self-love that is birthed from this kind of work, it can't help but reflect outside of you and in everything that you do in your parenting and in your relationships, in your career. So, I mean, maybe that's what we're up to. Sometimes you don't need another thing to do. You actually need somewhere you can finally put everything down. If that sounds like something you've been craving, I want to tell you about the Desert Muse Festival. The Desert Muse Festival is a 3-day wellness retreat for women of all ages and identities, a chance to step away from everyday life and make some space for yourself. It's happening September 25th through 27th, 2026 at Hotel Valley Ho in Scottsdale, Arizona. Throughout the weekend, you'll experience opportunities to slow down, connect with the beauty of the Arizona desert, and create meaningful connections with yourself and with others. As a Phoenix Perspective podcast listener, you will receive 25% off your registration. Just go to desertmusefestival.com and use the code Phoenix25Muse. Now, let's get back to the show.
Yeah. Like when I look at like what, if people were to ask me like, what's your core mission? Like the cycle is just one piece of it. Like it really, like I said, it's the wrapper, the packaging on what it is that I really truly do. And what I really truly do is the permissioning and self-love of like helping women. But you know what? It's funny in our world, like women don't want to buy permissioning. They don't want to buy something that's going to help them learn to love themselves. Like
Nope.
how like we don't gravitate towards, like if there was a book out there that was like how to love yourself more deeply, and then this other book that's like cycle sync your business and find a way to use your body to increase your income and impact, guess which one is going to get picked up off the shelf more often? It's totally the one that's going to help somebody be more productive, help somebody make more money, like help them, you know, succeed in the world, versus this one about self-love. It feels like fluffy. It feels like, okay. And so it's sad that that's the society that we live in. But at the end of the day, it's like, you know, let's help get to the same means. Like we're getting to the same thing. Like I'm like, that's ultimately like, if I help women walk away feeling like they love themselves more, they permission themselves more, they show up better for their families and their lives, like they love their life. Like that's a big part of what I do, is like, I want you to actually love the way you're living right now. Not just one day, someday when you hit your goals, but like right now, do you love the way you're living and the way you show up in your life right now? And if the answer is no, then like, let's shift that. Let's create it. So if you died tomorrow, that you knew, hey, I actually lived life today how I wanted it to. The other thing, like you just said about patriarchy, is like, I'm like feeling this really big stir of, I want to help women make a shit ton of money, because when more women have wealth, like when more women have money, statistics show that they are more likely to reinvest it into the community, into the collective, and help enhance humanity as a whole. When we look at women, it's like women are reinvesting it in organizations that make impact, they make change, they make social change, they whatever. And so when I look at, okay, the world needs a lot of healing right now. How do we make that happen? Women need to get really wealthy. How do we help women get really healthy without burning themselves out and developing autoimmune disorders and all these things? It's like, oh, they got to learn how to do it with their bodies. Okay, cool. So let's come back to like helping women understand and learning how to love their bodies, how to work with their bodies, how to lean into their bodies, create this flow so that they can make insane amounts of wealth, and that's going to reinvest into their communities and create the change that we want in the world. So like when we look at what it is that we're doing, it can feel so micro, right? Like go back to like, I help women cycle sync their business. Okay. But that's really not what I'm doing. Like, and so I don't know. It makes such a huge difference when we look at all of those pieces, right? Like it's like more women feeling so alive and feeling so embodied and feeling amazing at what they do and how they're showing up in the world, regardless if it's building a business, right? If you're going to work every day, if you feel alive, if you feel excited, if you enjoy your life, like chances are you're going to attract more opportunity to you. You're going to attract more money to you. You're going to find the love of your life. You're going to have kids and it's going to be amazing. Like all these things, right? Like when we tap into this place of living from a place of overflow and abundance and love and joy and like permissioning ourselves into really living into a life of desire, then we create these ripples that expand out far deeper than us. And if the cycle can help you get there, then dude, lean into your cycle. Yeah.
Yeah. One of the reasons why I started this podcast specifically was because I am seeing all of these women who have gone through these challenges in their life, who have experienced health challenges or relationships have kind of blown up or just like big things have happened and they've experienced all this grief and loss and they are at the precipice of stepping and rising into their next version of themselves. What you're speaking to is giving women a tool that is not very complicated, that you get to learn more about yourself, that helps to bring out the thing that you were here to do.
Yeah.
To helps you connect to your soul's purpose or mission. So that way you can free up space within your life, shed those expectations of what the world has placed upon you so you can actually get to doing the thing that you were meant to do here. And you wrote this book, Cycle Sync Your Business, specifically for women entrepreneurs who are building a business. I feel you probably draw a lot of transformational coaches and women that are building very mission-based businesses. But I think having these tools, understanding your body, it really truly does open up this space for more opportunities. And it plays into what we're all doing, right? What we're all up to. We want to create impact. We want to create clarity and help, whether we're helping other women or helping our communities or, funding a non-for-profit, like whatever it is that we're up to and our souls are up to, your body will help you get there. And I love that that's what you're teaching. It's a fire.
Yeah. Yeah. Like if people are in transition and that phase is like, I did not think that this would be where I am today. If you had looked at me 10 years ago and said, what's on your vision board? This was not it. This was not it, and it just took the one step and following that next right step that was right in front of me and going back to the human design. There were a lot of steps that would have felt like a lot of failures, to be honest, if I were looking back over my last 10 years. And I think that that's the magic of it, is that now I'm in this place of, oh, that's why. That's why I went down that path, and that path was a dead end for me, but I needed that path because that path is now contributing to this. And I needed that to be able to give to this. And I didn't have that in the moment, right? So no matter what transition you're in, or what season you're in, it's like they all are part of the process. Like we're going through these cycles of, winter and spring and summer and full bloom. And if you're in that season of shedding and letting go and losing things, like that's okay. Like the quest is, how do I embrace the season and the magic that the season has to offer me? Like what is here for me right now in this really mucky, like awful, horrible, hard season. I remember I went through that probably 2 years ago. I think it's probably been 2 years ago. I remember calling my sister and being like, I'm in a winter and I feel like I just need to stay in winter. Like I don't feel like our world tells us like, you just take a couple big deep breaths and move on, move through, like let yourself scream and let yourself get it out. And like, then get back to your happy vibes again. And like, pick up yourself from your bootstraps and, like life is hard. You just got to pick yourself up and keep moving through. And I do agree with the fact that like we can't wallow, but there's something that magical happens when we intentionally choose to allow ourselves to go to the depths Because when we allow ourselves to go to the depths, like when we really allow ourselves to fully experience what the menstrual cycle has to offer us, it brings us the highest of highs on the other end. Like it's the duality, the contrast that really creates what we want in life. And so what happens for so many people is they're just trying to muck through and forget about the winter. Like they don't want to go through the hard times. They don't want to go through the shedding. They don't want to do the releasing and the letting go because it's challenging. And so we just try to stay in this high vibe all the time. And then eventually we burn ourselves out trying to be high vibe all the time. And then two, it doesn't create any contrast that really allows us to be like, wow, the beautifulest expression of this. I can value that and support that and love that and be in that and own it because I've felt the opposite of that too.
Yeah. Yeah. If there was a woman who was sitting here and listening to this podcast and she's been kind of spinning her tires in business for a while and she's like, "Oh my gosh, maybe this is a missing piece." What would you say to her right now to help her get unstuck so she can have flow in her business?
Yeah. The one thing I tell my clients to ask themselves every single day is, what does my body need today? Because I think if you start with that intention of like, what do I need today? It's a super simple thing that we can do, but that awareness brings back the power. It brings back the slowness. It helps us like tune back in. Whether you are looking at your cycle and you're like, wow, I'm on day 19 today. What do I actually need today? Not from a day 19 factor, but from a awareness of this is what's on my schedule. This is what I have to do. Like, what do I need today? And maybe you wake up today and you're like, wow, I actually need to cancel this afternoon.
Yep.
I need to. Like, just allowing yourselves to have that moment, that pause, that stillness. I think that's one of the most powerful things. Like, I come from the world of occupational therapy. Nervous system regulation is a hot topic right now. I feel like OTs were the beginners people of this.
Right.
Like we're the originators.
Yeah. The OG OTs.
We have been doing nervous system regulation for centuries now here.
Absolutely.
Humanity is not designed to handle the amount of sensory input that we're getting today with technology, with speed, with the fastness. And the one thing that we can do that's going to change everything is slowing down and just getting still for a minute. So even if it's just a hot minute every single day, that you pause and you say, okay, what do I need today? Where's my body at? Where's my life at? Where's my mind at? Where's my emotional state? What do I need? That alone will change everything.
It does. And that's it. We don't have to have all the strategies. We don't have to have it all figured out right now. Sometimes it is, like you said, just taking that one question in the morning, like, what is the one thing my body needs today? What is it that I need? And you start just paying attention to that and giving yourself permission to do it, to give that gift to yourself, to care for yourself. It's like we're remothering ourselves at the same time as, we're living the rest of our life, whether we're, mothering children or a project or whatever it is that we're giving birth to. We have to care for ourselves in order to give birth to the thing that we were here to create. And we are these inherent creatrices, these creatrix of beauty and joy and vitality and life and community, but we can't fully show up in all of those things if we are not allowing to care for ourselves. We have to start here. And especially as business owners and as women who are on a mission to help build these beautiful things that we want to build, we have to pour into ourselves first. We have to put our oxygen masks on. And so that question, what does my body need from me today? How can I care for myself today? Such a beautiful question and an important thing. Maybe write it on a Post-it note on your fridge or when you're brushing your teeth or whatever. Just like giving yourself that space is so important. I absolutely love that. And I hope, as a listener, if you're kind of in that space, like giving yourself that permission just to support yourself that way is going to make a huge impact, and you'll definitely start to feel some things shift. I have a gift for you.
Oh.
I have a present. Yeah, if you're
Okay.
open to it. So one of the things I do here on the Phoenix Perspective podcast is when my guests come on, I offer to do a card reading for them. So would
Okay.
you like for me to pull a card for you?
Sure, of course.
Oh, I love that. Okay. So I am using, I'm not sure if you're familiar with her work. I would imagine you are, Rebecca Campbell.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. This is from her Work Your Light deck. And since you are a beautiful woman who is shining her light out in
Thank
the
you.
world, I just want to offer this to you um, to support you and where you're at. So, what would be supportive for Renae today? And it is this. Oh, sister, I think we talked about this, but I love this. This is a reminder that the work you are doing, it's called Break the
Okay.
Chain.
Okay.
This is ancestral patterns healing and rewriting the future. So, whenever you have those moments of doubt or like, am I on the right path? Am I going the right place? Am I doing the right things? Am I doing enough? This is a reminder that the work that you are doing is creating a new timeline. It is creating a new path for these women that you're impacting, for your own life and your family's life. That every step that you have taken is like a link in this chain. And you decided to create it in a different direction rather than where it was going to go originally. And so you created a whole new timeline by you embracing this sometimes very challenging message of talking about your cycles, and it can feel very lonely. But this is just a reminder from Spirit that you are having such a massive impact,
Thank
and it
you.
is so important to keep your work up because it's changing things, and
Yeah.
there's a long game here.
Thank
There's a
you.
long game here, and there's seeds that you're sowing that perhaps you may not see bloom, but just keep showing up because it is having an impact. So
I
just
appreciate
wanted to
that.
share that with
Thank you
you.
so much. I appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So I know that there are going to be some women and especially entrepreneurs and business owners who are going to want to check out your book,
Yeah.
Cycle Sync Your Business, and connect with you. So what is the best way that people can get into your world?
Yeah. So the book, I have like a special promo. If you're in the United States, I will send you the book for free when you just cover the shipping and handling. If you are outside the United States, you can grab the first couple chapters of the audiobook for free as well. If you're in the United States, you want the audiobook too, like whatever it is that you have access to that. So those would be the greatest places to kind of grab access to the book. The book is it gets the touch point. It makes such a huge difference. I hear from women every day that are like, oh my gosh, this totally landed, or oh, this made such a huge difference. So definitely check that out.
Wonderful. And
Yeah.
you're on Instagram too.
Yeah, I'm like pretty much everywhere just by my name, Renae Fieck. I spent a lot of time really trying to simplify and only spend time on one platform. And then I go through these seasons, I'm like, dude, well, I can just cross purpose and put it over here too. And then I go
Yeah.
back and anyway, so for a long time I was like, Instagram only, Instagram only, Instagram only. But that's where I hang out. If you are on another platform, whether it's Facebook or TikTok or YouTube or whatever, like you'll find me there too. But I hang out over on Instagram. So
There we go.
yeah.
Yeah. So if you want to come hang out with Renae,
Yes.
you can find her on Instagram and of course your website, reneefieck.com.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yes.
And that's where you can
Yes.
get your book. Yes.
Yes.
So make sure you grab that book. Hey, I mean, you can get it for free. Just pay that shipping and handling if you're in the United States. So definitely worth it. So this has been an incredible conversation, and I feel like we could continue for lots of things.
Yeah.
But if there was one little last word or nugget of truth that you would like to leave, what would you like to share?
Yeah. I think that just like don't overcomplicate it. Whatever it is, like whether it's a new venture, new transition, or if it's cycle syncing or whatever, we overthink a lot of things in our world. Like we're very much in our heads, like the masculine part, that's the masculine of us. And the power that so many of us as women have is like in our hearts, in our wombs, in our bodies. And so, allow yourself to like get out of the head, don't overthink it, just take one action step, do one thing and lean into like, how does this feel for me? Where am I at? And go from there.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't overcomplicate it.
Yeah.
That's amazing, powerful truth. And I think it's definitely one I can also reminder. I needed that
Yes.
reminder today as well, not to overcomplicate it. So, well, thank you so much for being here, Renae. And thank you for all the Phoenix sisters out there. And of course, remember that you are powerful and rising, and you are so worthy of your vibrant life. Yes, I am celebrating you, sister, because you just finished another episode of the Phoenix Perspective Podcast. I'm so grateful that we got to spend this time together today. It's been amazing. If something in this episode helped you feel seen, gave you a new perspective, or reminded you that you are not alone, please follow the show and share it with another woman who may need to hear it too. And until next episode, remember, you are so worthy of living a vibrant life. I will see you next time.